that song, and it made me rock back and forward gently. And someone was telling me during the week that people do that when they've kind of lost their mind a bit, because if you do it long enough, it hurts your back and it releases endorphins and makes you feel good.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that something you might do perhaps in a smelly tent in someone's living room on a Saturday night?
You're just jealous.
I am jealous.
See? I can see it in your face. No, but that was a really, really cool song. I liked that a lot. I'm very excited about this EP.
Rufus, do you share Sammy's enthusiasm?
I do. When you said is, it reminded me, the only time I've heard those two words together are during Bill Clinton's impeachment trial, when he famously said, it depends on what the word is. The meaning of the word is, which is, you know. But that was great. It sounded a little bit, I started to like Franz Ferdinand a few years ago, and then I bought the album and I didn't like it. And that sounded what the Franz Ferdinand could have been like if they were better.
Right.
If I liked them more, they would sound more like the AAS. Didn't really mean very much, did it? Anyway, I liked it.
Thank you very much indeed.
Right.
And Harry, are you going to make this a clean sweep?
Well, kind of. I've always dismissed the yeah-yeah-yeahs as style over substance, and I always thought that Karen O was short for Karen O, look at what she's wearing. Because that's all the coverage she ever used to get. I mean, I quite enjoyed that, but early garbage, meh.
I love the fact that Harry now has reduced his criticisms to sound. Next week, maybe on the next track, I'll merely get him to vocalise it in a sound form. Let's see what he thinks of Caribou after we've heard this trail. Last week, our internet guru Vic Sharma last week played us something from Daniel Snaith, who records electronica under the name Caribou, and Vic mentioned how much he liked the Fortet remix of the new Caribou single Melody Day. Lo and behold, there it was in my pigeonhole, and so here it is for your enjoyment. Caribou and the Fortet remix of his forthcoming single Melody Day, and the track is out at the end of July. Rufus, you have just returned from the hunt. You are slipping off your +4s as your manservant brings you a flagon of mead, and you've had an exhausting day, but plenty of pheasant for supper.
Yeah.
Which someone is plucking down below whilst you're just chilling out on your 4-poster before attending dinner, before slipping on your tuxedo for dinner. Might you enjoy Fortet and their remix of Melody Day?
Do you know, Steve, if I want to wear +4s in a dinner jacket, I will wear a vintage +4 and dinner jacket set from probably made in the 1930s or 40s, at the height of +4 and dinner jacket. I wouldn't wear a modern imitation made exactly to resemble a vintage 40s. Right. Similarly, that band, or that remix, sounds very much like it's trying to be a kind of nice close harmony song from the mid-60s. It sounds like Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young to me. If I want to listen to that sort of music, I'll listen to Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. I won't listen to that. If I want to listen to Thin Lizzy album, I'll listen to Thin Lizzy. I won't listen to The Darkness, because it sounds a bit like it and it's more moderner. Sure. So that left me pretty cold, I'm afraid.
Really?
Yeah, I'd listen to Thomas Tallis over that, really, any day. Yeah.
If I knew who that was, I'd either shake my head or not. Sammy, do you share Rufus's hatred?
I'm kind of cold at how cold Rufus is towards that song, because I quite enjoyed it. It felt slightly religious. I felt like I should either be crying or really happy. I don't know, it was really lovely.
Back to last night.
Well, indeed. I can imagine it being used in a film where a woman slowly undresses, or a boy tenderly touches her face. I don't know, I thought it was quite beautiful.
Wow, we watched the same kind of films. And Harry, are you going to summarise it in a sound only?
Well, no, but I was thinking about films as well, but I was picturing it in a gritty Brit flick, where perhaps a Scotsman finds his flatmate smacked out of his head dead in the bath as that's playing, and perhaps the water's pouring down the steps.
Yeah,
that would be excellent.
It would be a counterpoint, wouldn't it, to the atmosphere in the film?
Thank you for using the word counterpoint.
That's all right.
I'm thinking it could also be used perhaps in a French thriller in which an elaborate bank heist is underway. It's silent except for that
an EBH.
Exactly, except for that tune.
Yeah.
If you were going to summarise your feelings about it though in a sound, Harry, what would you use? Okay, thanks very much. We don't know whether that's positive or negative, but we enjoyed the same. We have one final tune. The Bongos were a band that arrived on the scene in the sort of alt kind of American alt-rock scene in the early to mid-80s, and R.E.M. and the like were sort of contemporaries of theirs, and I don't know if they've perhaps got the reputation of those boys, but they are re-releasing their 1982 album Drums Along the Hudson, and a big fan of theirs is Moby, and so he and they have collaborated on a reversioning, I don't know what the term is, of one of their singles from the past. So this is the 2007 version of Bongo's Bulrushes. So as I say, the Bongos are re-releasing a special edition version of their album Drums Along the Hudson, and in order to sort of promote it and get some attention, they have redone one of their songs, Bulrushes, with Moby. Not entirely sure what Moby is doing on the track. I know that he's got production involvement in some way, but maybe he's playing guitar or something. A lot of people forget, of course, that Moby, he sometimes kind of has a sort of thrash metal edge to his music, which you don't tend to associate with his big... What was his big hit album? Play? Exactly. But anyway, I've always had a soft spot for Moby, if only because when he was on MTV's Cribs, he made the point that no one else on MTV Cribs had ever had any book. I think it's so right, and he made a very big point of showing his. Anyway, so Harry, that strikes me as the sort of sound that you'd enjoy.
Oh, that ticks so many boxes for me. I love that to pieces. Yeah, like you say, I'd be interested to know how different that is from the original. I'm sure there are people out there on Bongo's blogs absolutely appalled at the vulgar reworking of it. But no, I thought it was fantastic. I'll certainly go and seek out the album.
Harry, do you? Harry, I've already spoken to you, you idiot. I was looking at Rufus. Oh, I was actually looking at you, Harry, but thinking about Rufus.
And I was looking at Harry.
As is so often the way. Rufus, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I really like that. I like the Where's Moby rather like the Where's Wally game. Is he behind the piano? Is he behind the little drums? Does he play guitar? That was great. I really liked it. Yeah. I throw to Sammy.
Caught it. Right,
Run with it, baby.
not very fast, I haven't got good lungs. I really enjoyed that. I am also going to seek out the album, but I don't know if Moby's reworked that song and it's now amazing, and the rest of the album's just going to be pretty much let down by the fact that that one song's been reworked to something wonderfully jazzy.
Well, maybe we should see if there are any Bongos fans out there who can let us know. 64046 stephen.6music@bbc.co.uk if you can tell us more about the Bongos. I seem to recall, having heard a few of the other tracks on that single, that the production is very different because it's an early 80s recording, so it's much less kind of punchy. But anyway, yes, the Bongos seems to been given the thumbs up by all of us here, and maybe we'll play that again next week. I enjoyed it very much. It's the Steve Show, BBC Six Music, with me, Stephen Merchant. Something from the new Art Brut album, after the little thing that Jude wants to do. Album track from their current release, It's a Bit Complicated. That's Art Brut and Sound of Summer. Art Brut, of course, a artistic scene. You may know, obviously, kind of lunatics, insane asylum inmates and the like, and the kind of art that they made. I went to see an exhibition once that was down in London, very good. And then, if fans may recall, that I worked with David Bowie on extras, and in an effort to seem arty and highfalutin when I saw Bowie, I had a quick Google, just check some of the names out of the Art Brut exhibition I'd been to see, and when I saw about David, hi, listen, I must say I was just at the Art Brut exhibition actually in Whitehall, and just started giving me another thing, and he was like, I was like, I don't know, I was mentioning this particular asylum, and he went, actually I visited that. Yeah, I actually went there myself. I used to live near mine. And he started, of course, he knew far more about it than I did. He owned most of the art that I'd actually seen. And it was one of those desperate attempts where, don't try and, outsmart someone who's clear. I'm always doing that. I've got this desperate attempt to somehow be, why can't I just act like myself? Why can't I just talk about the things I know about? Why didn't I just mention, old episodes of Last of the Summer Wine and see if he could have related to that? But no, I had to try and impress him. Anyway, enough name-dropping for today. I thought we'd enjoy that tune because it was all about making mixtapes, and of course it's something which I know we all hold dear to our hearts. And we'll get on to the Seduction compilation after we've had one of Sammy's choices.
I've chosen an Elliott Smith song, and I've also bitten my tongue. I've chosen Baby Britain because that's how I got into Elliott Smith. Duke Special, who has a very dear place in my heart, did a live cover version of the song I'm going to play, and I thought, oh, that's a marvellous song, so I asked him what it was and he told me, so I went and found it on the internet, and I've now got all of Elliott Smith's albums. He's a beautiful musician, and everything he writes is just, it's one of those kind of desperately sad people that, he's tragic. He killed himself in 2003, and it's one of those, Nick Drake, everyone's really sad and miserable, but the song's lovely, and he's a very beautiful artist, and here it is, Baby Britain.
It's the choice of Sammy on this week's Steve Show, and it's Elliott Smith, Baby Britain. Thank you very much indeed. Always pleasant to hear Elliott.
He is just, I cannot actually talk about him sensibly because I just go, oh, he's so amazing, I want to touch him. He was actually called Stephen Smith. Was he? And he rejected the name Steve because it was too jockey, and he chose Elliott because it made him sound more knowledgeable,
Well,
wise.
I often don't use the word Steve because I always think it makes me sound like a scaffolder. But so that's why I'll pretentiously perhaps
know a
on
lumberjack
TV
called
credits.
Steve.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's-
It's I mean, sometimes I
manly
use it
name.
when exactly when I'm in a pub with maybe some working class folk. Then instantly I'm Steve, and it's earthy and sweaty and Steve McQueen. It's dynamic. If I'm hanging out with poets and pretentious artists such as Rufus, Stephen. With a PH, instantly. You see, it's a multi-purpose name. It's the Swiss Army knife of names in that respect. I actually had a week of gigging, myself not performing, but I went to see, as I mentioned earlier, Bright Eyes, and also I was at Live Earth yesterday. Embarrassingly, I don't know what your view is on that. I feel that the true meaning of Live Earth, I think, has been muddied by all this talk of global warming, where the true meaning was it was a nice day out.
Yeah.
It was a good excuse to go out and see some fun bands. An eclectic lineup, I think you'll agree. Few Metallica fans perhaps also watching James Blunt. But there we are, the message got through. I have to say, Madonna, excellent. She was cracking, put on a great show. I don't know if you saw, but she had some members of Gogol Bordello fiddling away as she did a version of La Isla Bonita. Is that how it's pronounced? La Isla Bonita. Yeah, I don't know. What do I know?
And what they added to the song was going Ricky Dicky 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 Dicky
Yeah.
Dicky 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 Dicky
Exactly.
all the way through. It's
If you
brilliant.
missed it, you've recaptured it beautifully there. But the whole day was sort of an unusual, as I say, unusual mix of bands. And it seems to me now that it's become sort of somewhat difficult to sort of recruit decent acts, and particularly people to come on in between the acts and introduce them, because there are so many of these large events now. Obviously, only the week before they had the Princess Diana concert, which I didn't really see, but I did. At one point I noticed that it sort of said, "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, international superstar, Kiefer Sutherland." And I thought, well, Kiefer's a star, but he's not an international superstar anymore. He's a slightly odd choice. Not quite as odd as one of the people at the Diana concert, Dennis Hopper. Dennis Hopper came on to introduce one of the bands, and I thought, was Diana a massive fan of Hopper? Did she watch and rewatch Blue Velvet and the Super Mario Brothers film? It just seems so odd to me, and it seems so. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, it was such an arbitrary choice. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Emilio Estevez. Well, he wasn't, but it may as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ali Sheedy. It may as well have been.
But you can imagine Prince William going to the promoters, look, no Hopper, no concert. It's a deal breaker.
Exactly, yeah. William and Harry just absolutely obsessed with Hopper.
Yeah.
But it's such, and that's the thing now. It just seems it's very hard. Again, the lineup yesterday. Very unusual. Then please welcome to the end to give the kind of big final sort of speech, Terence Stamp. And Terence Stamp, he's a fine actor, but he's known mainly for being in Superman 2. For most, that's the only kind of thing that most people know him from that. And as I said, welcome to stage Terence.
Exactly.
There were a lot of very impatient people waiting for Madonna as well, so he was telling everyone why they were there and the good they were doing, and it was like, Madonna, Madonna,
exactly.
Madonna.
But obviously a few people, I didn't actually see it, but people mentioned that Ricky had a tough time at the Diana concert because he was forced to fill for sort of 8 minutes because Elton John was still having his hair adjusted or whatever. I don't know what the actual reason for it was, but I heard someone mention it, so someone describe it. They said, oh, did you see Ricky Gervais at the Diana concert? It was car crash TV. I thought, that's not appropriate. That's not that's not an appropriate phrase, surely. What were they thinking? Man alive. But anyway, yes, we were. If you were there, I don't know whether, but obviously switch off your standby buttons. That seems to be the message from yesterday, as far as I can understand it. Each week, I've been adding tunes to the Seduction CD, a compilation that you may wish to use if you're trying to seduce a lady. I know Jude's always up in arms because it's grammatically slightly incorrect, the name. So what should it be? Should it be songs by which to seduce women? Okay, so we'll add to that compilation Baby Bird, If You'll Be Mine. Adding it to the Songs by Which to Seduce Women CD, it's Baby Bird and If You'll Be Mine from the album There's Something Going On. Harry, I don't think I need to ask you what the most interesting thing was that happened to you this week.
Well, yeah, we got along to a secret Foo Fighters gig, didn't we, Steve?
We did indeed, yes. The Foos, you found out, were doing a little secret gig at